Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Bahram. You are number 1. And welcome, Lou Rock. You are number 2. Welcome, welcome. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Hey, Frankie, welcome. Okay, so we are going to get started today. All right, so today, nothing special, just finished work. Okay, all right. Okay, so today I want to talk about something, one law that should be global. Is there one law the entire world should abide by? And again, with everything that's going on in the world, it just seems like, what happens in one place happens in another. In the US, it just tends to happen more often. But is there one law? Is there just one law that the entire world should have? And for me personally, I think that law should be hate crimes. I don't think there should be an Asian hate bill. I don't think there should be a African American hate bill. I don't think there should be a Caucasian hate bill. I think it should be just a hate bill under just one tent. Welcome, Betty Deb, and welcome, Tuttles. I just think that any hate bill out there, anything that's a hate crime, no matter what it is, no matter who you are, what it falls under, that should be a universal law across the entire globe. I think the entire world should abide by one hate bill. I think if we had something like that, I think that maybe, just maybe, it would curb some of the violence that we see towards others. Well, welcome, Woody. I think that if we had a hate bill that just covered, everything, that people would think twice. And I think that if you committed a hate crime in one country, and you flew to another, then that country that you go to has the right to extradite you or even hold you accountable for this hate crime that you did in another country. So that may seem a little bit extreme to some people, but I think that let's see, 10 Commandments, in my opinion. So are you saying that we go back to the 10 Commandments? Because the 10 Commandments, no one is able to keep those. The 10 Commandments are kind of impossible to keep. And if we want to get religious here, then the 10 Commandments, God knew that man could not keep the 10 Commandments, and that's why he sent his son, because we are sinners. So So basically, what you're saying, if you look at the 10 Commandments, then that means that you're saying that everyone should be perfect and no one should sin. Am I reading that correct, Lurak? Okay, so you're laughing at. Okay, so I'm a little confused on the direction that that you're taking there. Tuttle says a law I want to see the worldwide would be the age of marriage and consent. Okay, so you want the age of marriage and consent to go up, or do you want it to go down? Do you want people to be up? Okay. Okay. What state was it? Is it Louisiana, Alabama? What state was it that lowered the consent for children to get married to 12? Just recently. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Let's see. So what age do you think it should be? Because right now, if I'm correct, is 18. It is. It is. Anything, yeah, anything where you're marrying a child. And to me, a child is yes, is classified someone under the age of 18. But when you start getting into the 10, 11, 12, 13, sorry, nope. To me, that's rape. And you know what? And you just, 18 to 20ish range. Okay. All right. You just made me think of something. Another law that I think should be global should be rape. I mean, because you go to some of these countries like India, and it just seems like it's a free for all there, that is, and it seems like that no one ever gets prosecuted, and women really bear the brunt. Like, oh well, you shouldn't have been there. But then again, in this country, we also have people who feel, that rape is the fault of the woman. But I think that rape should also be a global thing, and that includes countries like some of these Middle Eastern countries that treat women like second class citizens, and and they are raped, but again, nothing happens. It's like, now she's tarnished, she's tainted. Tuttle says over there, if a lady gets raped, they chop her head off. Now his, yes, and yeah. Rape and abortion should all have worse times. Okay. For the abortion thing, I don't know. I'm not in favor of abortion, but again, you have that thing with rape and incest. I struggle with that one. I struggle with that one. But I understand where you're coming from. Hello, Juju. Welcome. So, and again, will we ever see a law where across the globe where women are treated not as second class or not as property? Because I think that's where some of the problems come in terms of how women are treated if they are, raped, or something happens to them. I think that's one of the issues, is that women are not treated on an equal footing as men. And that's another law that should probably be, across the entire globe. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I have the hiccups. That women should be treated on the same equal footing as men. And children should also be treated, with respect. I don't think children are given the respect that they should have. People tend to see, well, they're children, so therefore, yes, I do believe that children should listen and learn, but I don't think they should be talked down to. And Tunnel says, nope, unfortunately not. Okay, and if anyone is watching the show on Facebook or YouTube, if you want to join in the audio conversation, you will have to come over to Podbean. But I will be able to see your chat notes, and I will share them. Okay, so what do you guys think of that in terms of the hate crime thing? Do you think that a hate crime, it should be one universal hate crime bill? And welcome, Power Girl. Do you think there should be a universal hate crime bill that encompasses everything? It would encompass racial, gender, sex, gay, trans. It would just encompass everything. If it's a hate crime, then that's what it is. Okay, Tunnel says it would be good, but unfortunately it wouldn't work in the whole world. Okay, I'm going to ask why. Do you think people would be resistant to it because they don't see these people as worthy, or why don't you think that will work? Countries have their own law. I mean, yeah, countries have their own laws, but I mean, do you think that it would be do you think it would be wrong to have a hate crime law that in every country? Well, welcome, Ba. I know you're here, but you'll probably have to say something for me to see you.
Hello.
And there you
can
are.
You hear me?
Yes, I can see you now. So, what do you think?
Well, being an anarchist, I am not for more laws. I can tell you that. I think when you create more laws, you're just giving the governments more power. And it may seem like you're not, because you're protecting the people from more things. But ultimately, we know that our governments can use these laws and things to suit their own agendas, and creating hate laws would be another example of that, and especially when it comes to hate speech laws, where I think me and you spoke about this the other night there, where there was this guy here in Scotland that they found that he had Hitler's Mein Kampf in his house and other Nazi memorabilia and things, and he was sentenced to, I don't think he got jail time, but he got a fine, and he got a community service and a suspended sentence. So for me, that's completely wrong, and I can see that that is the way the world's going, where speech and things can be punishable by by law, sorry. And I'm definitely not for that. But I see what your point is on, having a worldwide thing where, it's a law that every country has to abide by. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that I would say would be necessary would be free healthcare. Make that a law. Everyone should have the right to free healthcare.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. No, I mean, that's something that I don't know why we're not there. Free healthcare is something that I know everyone would take advantage of, and you probably wouldn't have people, dying as early as they are. People would be able to, if they have cancer or some other illness, they would be able to catch it, because there are people who just don't go to the doctor because they just can't afford it. So yeah, I mean, that is something that I definitely think that they should have. So let me
Yeah.
ask this, boss. So you say free healthcare. Do you think that the education should be free?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we say free because there's taxation. These kind of conversations for me are difficult because I don't believe in taxation. I think nobody should pay a penny in tax, and we should have very limited government. And therefore, when you take home your top line or gross, you have more money to, buy these
Right.
amenities or that. So this is where, when I always say, like, I have to kind of it's not I'm not patronizing, but like dumb down my to talk on this level where I see, that the way the world is set up with taxation and all these things. It's because they don't want overpopulation. Is not everyone gets healthcare because they need people to die. It's why cancer's never been cured. So when you have taxation in a world or a country or whatever, nothing is free. Sorry, everything is paid for by the people. So it's not government funded; it's people funded. Um. So yeah. Sorry, what was the question? I've kind
No,
of
no,
went off on a little bit.
I'm asking you, do you think that uh education should be free? Do you think that education should be free?
Well, again, it's wages have to be paid for. I mean, buildings and teachers and but it is our tax money. So in that sense, it's not free because we're paying for it via tax. I can't see a way where other than
Okay,
it would have
okay,
to be.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's put it like this. It's not altogether free, but let's say that it's reasonable where you're covering, like you said, teachers have to be paid. The light bill has to be paid to make sure that the lights stay on. So where maybe it's just like everyone pays, I don't know, $2,000 a year or something. I mean, I don't know,
Hmm.
because I struggle with the education thing, because then if you have a private university, then either they go out of business, or can you tell a private school that they have to let your child come to school for free?
Hmm. Um. I mean, I would say it has to be choice. Like for instance, if you don't have a child, why should you have to pay for that portion of education? Um, so there should be, like, obviously there's no receipt. There's no, like, government say to cover this school. It's going to be X amount a year, and we're going to divide that by the population. That's why it shouldn't work that way. It should probably be go down to, like, actual towns, cities. It should be like a lower level. It shouldn't be government. It should be like councils, or I don't know what you guys have over there. But let's say in my hometown, where there's a population of 20,000, there are roughly about 10 primary schools and one academy. We call it academy. You guys call it high school,
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
it? Yeah.
Yes.
So those schools should be paid like local level. If there's no taxation, then you would obviously pay for it out of your money, um, and choose which school your kid goes to and all that. And I think that would be the best way. But because we have taxation, again, it shouldn't be at the government level. It should be at a more local level. And these schools should, like, reach out to you and say, "This is how much it's going to cost for your kid to come to my school." And then you compare it with the school across the road and the other school. It's like choice.
Well, wouldn't healthcare have to operate the same way if you had free healthcare?
I don't like that way because it's like life or death in some instances. I know what you're saying, like a tier system where
Right.
you get this grade, you get this grade, and you get the higher grade if you've got the money. I don't like that. I don't like that rule as a rule. Sorry, the whole people who have money get better things in life. I don't like that. because
Well, no, I'm not saying that you're getting better things, but I mean, if you have free health care, somebody has to pay for it. And, when I think it was Bernie Sanders, when he was talking about free health care and free education, I mean, I think that's great. But my thing, I kept coming down to, well, who's going to pay for it? And the only people who are going to pay for it are the taxpayers. So,
yeah.
so it's
But
like,
see,
nothing's free because somebody has to pay for it. When you go to
yeah,
that store and they're giving out the free stuff, it's free to you, but the person who's
mhm,
giving out, they have to pay for it.
yeah.
So
You see, the biggest issue with all this is that the money that the government get, they use for like war and other things. Like, we should be living in beautiful cities and countries with the best of the best. Like, it's like you see these films and they're all set in like the future with like flying cars and like beautiful, buildings and all that. That's how we should be living. If you add up the amount of tax that the government get every day, and I'm not even talking about income tax, I'm talking about every time you buy a Mars bar for £1, the government are taking 20% of that. And you think about it every day. If one person in Scotland paid £1 of tax, which is way more, because I pay on my wages probably about, well, sometimes when I do overtime, I can hit the 40% bracket. So I'll take a minimum of £1 a head every day for every person in Scotland. It's £5 million a day. So where's that money going? It's not covering schools because our schools are a joke. It's not covering our NHS healthcare because that's a joke. So it's all going places that we don't know about. It's bombing countries, dropping bombs on them endlessly. It's other things, and that's the problem. We could all be living great lives, but we're not because we don't hold our governments accountable.
okay. Now, Bob Petty Deb says, Bob, how do you feel about people living on the dole? I don't know what that means, Deb.
Yeah, I do. It's welfare, like we call it dole here as well.
Okay, okay.
It is a problem. I mean, the way the world's set up again, there are jobs here in the UK that are less paid than being on the dole. So there are some people out here that would think, why should I go out and work and set an alarm for 7 o'clock in the morning to go out and slug it away for 8 hours or 40 hours a week when I can stay at home and get paid more and actually have my rent paid for, my bills paid for, plus get universal credits, which is about £700-800 a month. They're sometimes I think we're the mugs, but it's just not how I was brought up. But this narrative of we need to bring in immigrants to do the work because the locals won't do it. It's a lot of nonsense. It's the reason why is exactly what I've just said, and I'm not sticking up for them. But the way the world's set up again is the employers can pay us dirt wages. Like minimum wage here in the UK is like £8 an hour, and it's just insane. I've worked with guys on building sites that are back-breaking workers, like labourers carrying fridge freezers up flights of stairs into buildings, and they're taking home like £200-300 a week. And I'm thinking the average cost of rent in the UK is about £600-700 a month. If everyone can't afford a car, so you've got finance for a car, which is roughly about £100 a month, gas, electric, tax. How are people living? So it's that's I could go on and on about this subject because obviously I work in the welding, and I've been on building sites. I've worked with immigrants, and I stick up for those people as well because they're coming over here saving up their life savings, maybe risking their lives to come to maybe even being smuggled in on the back of a lorry or a boat, which is wrong, but they're doing those things because they have to, and they're coming into a country, and the employers in our country know this, so they're just keeping the wages low. Like men in the 80s and 90s all tell me that they were earning £1,000 a week, whereas now you're lucky to get a welding job that'll clear £500 a week, so it's literally halved.
Okay. All right. I want to go back and look and read some of these comments. When I was talking about hate crimes, let's see, Lurak said countries have their own laws, and Tuttles answered my question because it would end all wars and the uppity ups wouldn't have that. Lurak says Arabs are brutal towards women, and we flood our own country with their nonsense. Okay, some countries don't have immigrants. I don't have a problem with immigrants coming into the US. I do not have a problem with it. Um, I just think that you should do it the right way. That's my only thing is if you come on over, that's fine. But just do it the right way. If you're, being smuggled in or you're running across the border, whatever, then no, no. Uh, because because my tax dollars, much as we pay in taxes. Okay, Tuttle says free healthcare isn't all it's cracked up to be. The WHO is a joke. Um, most government systems, no matter where they are, no matter who they are, no matter what side they're on, they are jokes. Thank everyone for liking the show. Lurak says there's always workers who have to take care of slackers. Okay, and what is the right way? Welcome, Mr. B. The right way to me is where you come in, you fill out the paperwork. If you have to take that class, to learn the Constitution, whatever, then you go before the judge. If you have to pay whatever you have to pay, then you go before the judge, you raise your hand and you take the oath and you become a citizen. That is what I mean by the right way. Welcome, the only crazy lady. But in terms of sneaking across the border and what have you, and and even then, I wouldn't mind if, and I do say if before everybody starts yelling at me, if there were people who said, okay, now you've come over here, now you go back. It's not where if they get caught, they come over here and they live on our dime until we figure out, well, are we gonna let them go? What are we gonna do? We're gonna send them back. What are we gonna do? They're living on our dime, on my dime. On my taxes. So I'm like, if you come over here, then just know you will get caught and you are immediately told to go back. None of this, well, we have to keep them here because no, you if they come over, give them a bottle of water and go back. That might sound harsh. Uh uh Welcome, Paul. That might sound harsh. But I'm sorry. How much money are taxpayers, and yes, this is coming from a liberal, how much money are taxpayers spending every year just dealing with illegal immigrants that could be going towards the homeless. I mean, everyone is upset about the homeless and what have you, and that's a problem that's never going to go away. People can blame the liberals for it, we can blame the conservatives for it. People are homeless, and they're homeless for several reasons. In the last 10 years, a lot of it is because of housing. When people were losing their homes and they couldn't pay their mortgage, whatever, they became homeless. And it is hard for some people to get out of that. And I'm not going to look down on someone who is homeless. I don't know what their situation is. I'm not going to call them slacker, bum, whatever. I'm not going to do that because I don't know. But I do know that I think that a lot of money that we spend on the border needs to be spent in everyone's respective country wherever they are, because there's just so many other things that are going on here and in other places, and that money could be spent on that. Hell, spend it on free healthcare, put it towards free, I don't know, if someone wants to go to university, whatever. Put it there. So I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Only Crazy Lady says, my mom became a citizen in 2000, my dad in 91. It's us versus them. Okay. Yes, Juju, how can a test tell you have the right to live in a place? No, I mean, and you have a point, but at least, is another way to make sure that we know who is here. If you are an illegal immigrant, and I know that that some of them pay taxes and what have you, but it's like, I'm sorry, if you come over here and the people who are doing it right, um, they are paying a fee or whatever it is. So is it fair to them that they are paying and doing everything, whatever, and then the people who aren't are just coming over and they're not paying anything? I mean, is that fair? So I mean, I'm not turning this into an immigration show. So, Vi, you want to comment? Anybody else want to come up? Mr. B, you want to come up? Vi?
The I'd love to. Do you know much about like before government and how government began? Like, do you know the history of government?
I know the history of American government, and I think it's so faulty and riddled with so many faults. And that's one reason why America is in the shape that it's in.
Yeah,
In terms of the government for the UK, I know a little bit about it in terms of basically you went from the royals uh, basically telling everybody what they can and cannot do, but that's changed over time.
yeah. I'd love to get more into that, but I know I've spoke a lot about this before, but there is people on in today's world where they're not governed by law. They're governed by law, not legal. Like legal and lawful are two different words and with two different meanings. And I've talked a bit about this where I was stopped by the police, and if you know this stuff, you can get away with literally all this bullshit, like driving with a phone in your ear or not wearing your seatbelt. I know these things are frowned upon, but where police can just issue a £60 fine and hit us in the pocket, I disagree with that. And there are a lot of people that claim that going back to like King John, where he created the Magna Carta in common law, where basically laws like God-given laws, where there has to be a victim. So murder, theft, those are things punishable. But all this other nonsense has been created, like paying for a TV license, all these rubbish acts and statutes that government have put into legalese, are just nonsense, and people can maneuver out of them. And that's why I'm saying I wouldn't give government any more power than they already have. I would take away the power. I'm an anarchist. I think we should have small government for taking care of the roads, maybe the services like the hospitals and the fire department, the police. But other than that, there's really no need for half of the laws that are out there.
Okay. All right. Mr. B, thank you for waiting patiently. What would you like to add to the conversation?
Oh, well, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like seasoning.
That's fine.
A little bit about the immigration law. Um, Not to touch on it too much, but basically, I just have an issue about having a test that tells somebody if you can live somewhere. Um, Tests can be used, for certain things, obviously, but as far as to tell somebody they can live somewhere just because they pass a test, I don't think that's a good standard to use. I mean, a lot of people. I know some people who came to this country, and they had a hard time getting here, but they didn't come here because they're bad people. They just came here because their family were being attacked. They didn't have any rights where they're from, and now they come here and they're struggling because they're trying to get the paperwork and that stuff, but there's so many avenues blocking them, and to do it the right way is very very expensive, and it shouldn't be that that expensive. I
Do
mean,
you
and
think they
other
should have
countries
to
are okay.
do you think
Hmm?
they should have to pay anything at all?
Well, I didn't say that either, but what I'm saying is it should be livable. I mean, we're talking about taxes, right? I live in Illinois and I pay taxes every day. But I go outside and I look at my roads. Roads are jacked up.
Right, and this is what I'm saying. And I live in California, but I am from Chicago.
Hmm.
And I am well aware, especially, in the wintertime, the roads, it's like a pothole every other every other
Corner.
block, whatever,
Yeah.
but at the same time, but that's what I mean. So instead of taxpayers spending all this money dealing with the border situation, spend it on these cities and states and what have you, who have roads that need to be fixed, or bridges is this,
Well,
and
yeah. Right.
and why
Th- th-
can't the money, that if someone wants to come here and they want to live here, apparently they come here because for a reason. Okay, if it's expensive, okay, you make that choice. You made the choice to come here. If it's too expensive for you to live here, then go somewhere else.
okay. So somebody whose mother needs surgery and America is the closest place for them, you're gonna be able to tell that person, I'm sorry, you can't get this operation because you're too poor.
I'm saying that if you know that the situation is going to be okay, let me put it like this. I'm not saying you can't have it because you're too poor, but I
Well, that's
do.
what you're saying. If
No,
they
wait,
can't
hold on.
afford
No,
it,
no, no. What I have a problem with is, with that same question, you can have an illegal come over here and they will be able to get that surgery. More than likely they will be able to go into the ER and be seen. But if I went to the ER, they would ask me, do you have insurance? Do you have this? Do you have this? No, 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 I'm sorry, we can't help you. They will serve an illegal immigrant at the ER before they would serve as someone who is a citizen. So, more than likely, that person who is coming here, who's not a citizen and has health issues, more than likely that surgery will be taken care of.
mm. So he's saying you don't have issues people coming over, but you just want them to do it the proper way.
I want them to do it the proper way. If your mom is sick and she needs a surgery, well then, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to do it the right way. Uh, if America is not a choice for you, then go to the UK, go to Paris, go somewhere, but
Yeah.
but again, we have a lot of other people who have healthcare issues and
Hmm. I
cannot get the
agree.
surgeries that they need, but yet again, an illegal can come over here and they can get it. So I don't know. Welcome, Shy Lady. Welcome, Sharon. Welcome, Khalid. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And welcome, Alpha Mike. So I don't know. I mean, Mr. B, I know I may sound harsh, but
No, no, I get it. I get it.
you know,
But my opinion, unfortunately, is that it's being corrupt. It should be a right way, but right now that right way is very confusing.
it is. I mean, everything about government, period, no matter where you live, is it's like, what the hell is going on? And that's why now I'm really trying to, and I mean trying to get into the habit of not blaming the other side, because it doesn't matter, because every side is jacked up. You can say this person's doing this, this person's doing this. This person would be great if they were prime minister. This person would be great if they were in the White House. In all honesty, they really aren't. Because they're corrupt by the time they get there.
Right.
So
that's why I wrote us first them. It's so easy to do. One side gotta be right, the other side gotta be wrong. So it's better to come together, meet in the middle.
Right.
Which
Now,
is hard to do, but it can be done.
Okay, so what do you think about what Lou Rock said? He says there's other countries like Mexico and Cuba that have cheaper surgeries. What do you think about that?
Their healthcare structure is built differently, and it's just because it say it's free. Sometimes you get what you pay for. Not always, but sometimes. Like say somebody needs certain surgery, and they may or may not get it. Say you qualify, but it could take them 2 or 3 years to get it. So free doesn't always mean better. Paying doesn't always mean better, but when you pay something, sometimes you have a little bit more say so in the matter, if that makes sense.
Okay, all right. Now Alpha Mike says, "Do it the right way, sure, but do away with green cards. The damn citizens take the damn citizenship test to stay in the country. Same if you went to live in a different country." And Juju says, "I know people who pay an immigration lawyer to become a citizen overnight, no tests involved."
Well, Juju, I wished I knew that 4 years ago.
So I don't know, because Bob, can you tell us, since you're in the UK, what are the citizen laws like there? Can you give us a little?
Sorry, ask that again. What?
What are the citizenship laws like in the UK? Like, in order to become a citizen, do you have to take a test? Do you?
Well, it's all changed now because we left the EU a few years ago. So before that, we were part of the EU. So all the countries in Europe, like France, Germany, Spain, all those countries, they could literally just move around all those countries for free. But now that the UK has left that, if you want to come to the UK from any of those countries, you have to do the immigration, which I think it varies depending on where you come from. My wife, that's why I was saying to Juju, my wife being from California, we're 3/4 of the way through our visa process, and it's all in all to this point, it's been probably roughly about £10,000, and a whole lot of paperwork, a lot of intrusiveness. We were separated for pretty much a year, and all that. It's nonsense, and this is where I struggle, because what you're saying, Mr. B, in an ideal world, open borders with no taxation would be my utopian dream. I think if every country in the world was flourishing and nobody had to pay tax, and we all, had plenty of money in our banks, what you would find, in my opinion, is that immigration wouldn't be a problem. Most people want to stay in their own birthplace and be around their own people. And I'm not saying that that's everyone. I know there's people that think, oh, let's go and live in a different country to sample their culture. But I think most immigrants are coming because they're either forced or they need to for financial reasons. But while there's taxation, you can't have someone entering you can't have open borders. You need to keep track of who's in your country, and you also have to favor the natives first, because if I've grown up here and paid tax all my life, and then an immigrant's getting to come in free and get all the services, like you said, Solid, about, people are waiting in line for operations and things, and houses, there's a housing waiting list, and these immigrants, from what I see, are getting a lot of the head of the queue kind of stuff, and that's what's causing a lot of divide and a lot of argument between the natives and immigrants. So it's a tough one.
Mr. B, you want to comment to what Bob just said? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I had
Okay.
trouble with my phone. I have a touch screen, so it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I agree partly what he said about when they have to worry about money and they have to worry about keeping people, keeping track of people. But my main point is people should be able to travel around. But if you want to make it a law about it or keep track, I get it. But at least make it make sense. That's all I'm saying. It's hard for me to think of America as a place where, like, well, my ancestors came here and all that stuff, so anybody else want to come over here will make it difficult, or it's impossible, or if you're rich, or if you're really, really smart, like your doctor. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right.
America. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you're right, because I do know that there's a nursing shortage, and usually they go to like the Philippines and what have you to get nurses. So are they doing that because people here in the U.S. aren't going to nursing school and they're not becoming nurses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's well, that's a different issue, I think, because it's about how much people are getting paid.
Right, but okay, but if you're bringing those people over from the Philippines, then are they citizens? Are they just getting visas just to work here? I mean, what are the requirements if you're actively asking someone to come over because you have this or you have that?
Well, I don't know the numbers, but there's a number saying like if so many people who come in America with a work visa, so many of them end up staying. And by what you're saying earlier, then that's not the right way. But they have families, and they be part of the community, and then like they finally get called or whatever. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you got to go back, even though you've been here for 40 years, paying tax and all that stuff.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you something that Alpha Mike said, and again, this is another point about the homeless. Free housing. I'm assuming he means for immigrants. Meanwhile, the homeless are looking around like, what the fuck? So it's like all these, like, we're accepting people from Afghanistan, now the Ukraine, and it did not go over my head that Haitians were not allowed in at all. Wonder why. But you have all these people who are able to be accepted. Oh yeah, come on. Meanwhile, like Alpha Mike says, the homeless are like, well, damn, you're moving us out from up under the freeways, and we can't live here. And if we're over here, we are an eyesore. So how come that money that you're giving to all these immigrants can't go to the homeless to put them in a free house? But yet homeless
Well,
people are called bums. And I don't think that's necessarily true.
well, I think that dealing with homelessness, the way I've seen it being dealt with, it's not the proper way of going with it, because some people are really happy about just having a book bag and just walking around traveling. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but some are just like that.
No, and
But
I understand that, but a lot of them are also families who unfortunately were displaced because somebody lost their job, they couldn't pay their
you're right.
mortgage, they couldn't pay their rent. I don't care what city you are in, rent and housing is ridiculous.
Right. It's definitely a crisis going on, but it's always been a crisis. It's just people are noticing it more.
Okay. All All right. Now, Alpha Mike says, what about when nature disasters occur in a country and they are forced to migrate somewhere else? Okay. I live in California. We have how many people
No water.
have lost their homes to
Yeah.
fire? I mean, we're talking about just entire towns just devastated. Uh, Anybody helping them? You look at people from Katrina, which was how many years ago? Almost 20, and they're still waiting for an insurance check. So, what about them? Are they going to the UK? Are they going to China or Paris, whatever? So, you know, should some of those
That's a
countries?
different reason though.
No, but I'm saying, but if you have a natural disaster in your country, can that country step up to help them? Because once again, I see the U.S. giving all this money to all these different places, but right here at home, we still have people who are still trying to. I mean, people from Superstorm Sandy, which was like 10 years ago, they're still trying to get their homes back. So
Yeah,
so
when go ahead.
no, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I understand what you're saying. I totally agree with you. It's the way, it's the way of how the taxes are being used. They have money, and we're talking about, well, why don't have the money to pay the roses, not roses, but the road or homelessness. Here's the thing: it's all about taxes. It's like how are they actually using their taxes? And a lot of people who are rich, I'm talking about millionaires, you can look it up. They're not paying their fair share of taxes. Now, if they start paying this 5% of the taxes, America will have more money, more than enough to do the programs that should be here. But they find loopholes, and the IRS, they don't really go after them. They go after the small fish because it's easier. People like us. So the real question is not why there's how they're spending money. Is the one question is how they're getting it and why they're not getting it from the upper people.
All right, all right. Bye. You want to jump in on what Mr. B said, or anybody else want to come up on the panel?
Yeah, I just want to echo that what you said there about like even NASA. I think they get like, is it 56 billion or million a year they get in our tax money? Well, your guys' tax money, and what do they have to show for it? We'd rather fix the world that we live on than go back to the moon or go to Mars. In my opinion, and I just think it should be choice. I think tax should be a choice thing. If you have a kid, then you pay tax for schooling. If you don't, you shouldn't have to. I think even healthcare should be a choice. If you want to take your top line home, and not pay tax for healthcare and then pay for it privately and get better healthcare, that should also be a choice. And I think if you had that kind of world, a lot of these problems would disappear, because when you have more money in your pocket, you eat better, you drink better, you look after yourself better. And again, with the immigration thing, I think that would obviously disappear, because if people have money in their pockets and they can do things with it, they want to be surrounded by their own people. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, all right. I mean, again, should it be a law then that should be global that everyone stays in? I'm sorry to say this, but everyone stays in their respective hometown. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not hometown, their respective country, unless you do it the right way. But like Mr. B says, the right way is so screwed up. So, I mean, what do you do? Because I'm telling you, it bugs me every time I hear And again, I'm not trying to get into a political fight with anyone. So please do not sit up here and say what someone in the White House is doing or what they did or what one senator did or whatever. Because I mean this universally, because they've all done it. When I hear that we are sending money over to another country to help them with this, to help them with that, so they can do this and they can do that, it pisses me off because, again, in our country here, there are just so many problems and so many issues that are not being addressed that need that money. And we're just sending it off. And those are my tax dollars that are going. And I have a problem with it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So why don't you just don't pay your taxes?
Well, because I will go to jail.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like taxation is theft. It literally is theft because it's if you don't pay them, you go to jail. So you're literally having a gun held to your head. It's being stolen from you, and that's the biggest problem in the world. Is governments have they don't have to give us receipts to say that so much of your money went here, so much of your money went there. They're bombing countries on your money. So on my money as well, obviously. Mm-hmm. But this is the problem, and this is why these kind of things, these conversations, I feel like that. What you were about to ask us was, do you think everyone should stay in their country unless
No, I'm saying that if you have issues in your country, then I'm sorry, deal with it because we're dealing with the countries here. Now, granted, I understand that some people are dealing with things where, they're literally getting killed and what have you. You have cartels and things like that. I understand that. But in every country, you have something where somebody's, is being threatened, whatever. I mean, and then Lou Rock says, right now, our government is dumping billions into Ukraine and stealing from its own citizens here. Prices are out of control across the board. And that money could fix our issues here. And again, this is why I'm saying every single government, no matter who is sitting in the White House, has done the same thing. You go back and just see what going back as far as what Nixon did. All the stuff that he did, whatever. So that's why I said I'm not trying to get into this blame game. That's why I said you look at it all of them are doing this. All of them. Every single one of them. And prices have been out of control. They're out of control, but prices have been out of control for the last 20 years. So I'm sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
No, that's right. It's just I think we have rants like these or talks like these, but because we can't really do anything, because I think we would need a huge mass awakening, and the government are more powerful than us, and I don't know. I just think government have served their purpose. They don't serve their purpose, should I say, because their one purpose is to keep to look after us and all that, and they clearly don't. So I think that government should be ended. As I've always said that anarchy, where you earn the money, you take it home. Everyone has right to land and buying a house or building a house that you only pay for once, and you can grow your own food, and nobody, and see that way as well. See all these issues that we talk about on Friendly Differences on this show, the issues that divide us, they all go away because nobody cares, because everyone's living in bliss. Like the abortion argument's the easy one, where you're literally having everyone arguing online or in face-to-face arguments about something that doesn't involve us. Until it does, most people are arguing over something that doesn't affect us. And if you live in a world where there's no taxation, you don't care if the person next door is having an abortion, because it's not your taxpayer money that's funding that abortion. And then likewise with the trans issue, a trans person goes to get an operation on the NHS here in the UK. Obviously, you're going to have people throwing out their opinions, whether they're wanted or not. But all that goes away when there's no taxation. you don't care half of the issues in the world because you have your own money and you're not having it taken from you at gunpoint, at force, to fund any of these things, these wars, these issues. So I know. I'll stop there.
No, I mean you have a point. Now, Shy Lady says everything has been out of control since the '60s, except salaries. True. And Lou Rock says actually the majority of women in America are against abortion. Those are called Christian women. I think some people may take exception to that. Let's see. Hey, Jill, welcome. Didn't see you come in. I'm sorry. I was busy paying attention to the chat. Welcome. Trans, you mean mental disorders. I will make a comment really quick about trans. Ba and I are on our Friendly Differences show on Sunday. It usually comes in on Saturdays. We're going to have our show on Sunday because of our guests and her work. We are going to have, our show is going to be on transgender, and we are going to have a guest that has completely transitioned from a man to a woman. And she just wants to tell her story. And you guys are welcome to join in the conversation. We will be streaming on live on YouTube, Twitter, and on Facebook. So if you guys want to join in on that conversation, and Michael Key will be our other guest. So if you guys are interested, hopefully you guys will come Sunday, 12 noon Pacific time. Okay, so Shy Lady says you have to have taxes for military, the poor. So I think taxes are necessary. It's just gotten crazy, abusive by the government. Taxes have been in effect since biblical days. Okay. And Q, Ba hopes you are well. Okay, so Mr. B or Ba, you want to answer what Shy Lady said, that you have to have taxes for the military, the poor? Taxes are necessary?
I mean, there is a video that I did send out. I don't know if I sent it to Shy Lady. I know I sent it to yourself and Crucible and Will and Michael Key, because there was a night where we were speaking about my utopian dream, like the anarcho-capitalist society where there's no real need for taxation. And again, I'm pretty clueless when it comes to how government were formed, and I know monarchy was kind of the way the world was back in the day, and I know there was some sort of taxes, but I actually read something about it was actually in the 1900s that people took home 100% of their wages in America. It was 1903 or something that taxation came in. So I know, again, we've seen films and the one that springs to my mind is Robin Hood, where the sheriff comes around knocking on the doors looking for taxes. But I know there is need for some government, small government, and I'd probably rebrand it and call it like state councils or town councils, where they pick up a small amount for the upkeep on the roads and like I say, the fire service and the police. But in this world, I think everything should be privatized, and it should be choice. If the way the world is right now, the police are getting their wages regardless whether there is crime or not, and the incentive should be of these people to keep crime down. So therefore, we should pay them pay as you go. Like if you need the police, if your house has been robbed, you go down to the local police station. You say, "My house has been robbed. I'll pay you £10 an hour for a few days to find out what you can." And that way, it's choice. Freedom is choice. And what it also breeds is, with the healthcare is a better example. The reason that healthcare is so poor in the world right now is because doctors are literally being paid their salaries, whether they do a good job or a bad job. So a famous saying here in Scotland is, if you want a doctor, go onto the golf course and you'll find one. Because whenever I phoned for the doctor, I actually phoned to the doctor about 3 weeks ago, and I was told I would get an appointment in 2 weeks' time, or I could have a phone call appointment. And sometimes you don't even get to see your own doctor. So when you have like that socialized system where all these people are being paid their big salaries, whether they do a good job or not a good job, that breeds poor. It breeds shit. It's not a good standard to set.
But if you privatize everything, to me, that's where, yes, the government, they are crooks, but that's when you're allowing these private places to come, and it's, to me, it's just going to be even worse. I mean, it's like either the governments are crooks, or this private place is going to come in and they're going to do stuff, and there's no oversight. And I mean, it's when you have things done by private citizens or whatever, then who is watching out to make sure that they're not taking money, that they're really feeding people, food, or that they're really doing this, they're taking care of you. I mean, either way
We
it
hold them
goes.
accountable.
I mean, okay, but how? If no one is watching them, who?
Well,
I
this
mean,
is why. Remember, I said to you the week there on one of your shows about the Karen thing, where people complaining, like literally, you've probably heard. Well, certainly here in the UK, there are certain doctors that we hold in high regard in our towns. Like you'll hear, like my grandparents talking to maybe their friends saying, "Oh, I like Doctor Simpson. He's really good, really good. I really recommend going to him." Now that's how the world should be. We should be on reviews. Like my money should go to the best. Like if I think Dr. Simpson is the best doctor, I'll go to him and I'll say, look, I'd like to be one of your patients. And then when it goes privatized, other surgeries, other police stations will set up all around your town and vie for your money. They will advertise themselves as, come to us, we'll do a good job. Not give us your money. Well, not even give us, just we're taking your money at gunpoint. If you don't give us it, you're going to jail, and you will pay for the police and the National Health Service and all this stuff, and you'll get a shit service back. Like I think it's nonsense. It's not. It breeds corruption. That system.
I understand that. I want to talk about taxes. Actually, taxes started in 3000 BC, and Kubela is. I'm sorry, Mr. B is right. Just like they say the Boston Tea Party. The colonials were taxed very heavily by King George. So there were taxes before the Civil War, and again, taxes do go all the way back to the biblical times, and even Romans were heavily taxing people. So taxes have been around for thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. So, okay. Thank you, Mr. B. Thank you. Thank you for coming up. So, but I understand what you're saying, but still, no matter what you do, no matter who is in charge, some way, somehow, a corrupt factor is going to find its way somewhere in between the cracks, and is going to be messed up. Someone's going to be stealing
No,
from somebody. Somebody's going to be taking this money, or I mean, come on.
no, not in this. When there's no government, there's nobody that can rise to that level. Like when you're taking home 100% of your wages and you're paying out what you want to pay out for, then how can that? The other thing that he also added was the highest level of power in this society, this way of life, would be insurance companies, because you could literally take out an insurance policy for insuring your house against fire damage and pay maybe $10 $20 a month, let's say, and there's other insurance companies vying for your money, saying, come to us for $18 a month. And we're like, well, I'll go with these guys. They offer more. So you're paying your $20 a month. And then the fire department would worry about, that insurance company would worry about your house catching on fire, because if your house catches on fire, they've got to pay out big time. So they're then, if they hear about let's say a paint factory opens up in your street, they would go down there and make sure that paint factory was putting in all the protocols and making sure their health and safety was up. They would then have to work for their money, and that's the way the world should be running. Companies aren't being held accountable for their work, and not only government but also companies. They're not doing half what they, and that's why I stuck up for the Karen kind of thing, because when you go into a restaurant and you have a poor meal, and it was kind of demonized to not complain about the meal, or I mean, maybe not on that level, but I think you should. And I think people, like, I certainly, when I'm booking a hotel, I look at the reviews. I see, it's got 3 stars, and people said that the bed sheets were dirty, so I'm not going to stay there. And that's how the world should run. I think it's a huge, I think it's a good tool that we should utilize. And I know people can take it too far.
I think you may have misunderstood the whole Karen thing, but I understand.
No, not you.
No. I'm saying just using that term Karen. That's what I mean. I think you misunderstood how maybe how it was used, but I understand what you're saying, but I still come back to, if there are no taxes, I mean, I can't stand paying taxes. I mean, our property taxes are ridiculous, but again, how is that road going to be fixed? How is that bridge going to be fixed?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There would be small government or small councils, like here in the UK we have councils.
But if you have those small governments or councils, you don't think that somewhere along the way that that Joe, who is on that council, may start to double dip in the funds or whatever? I mean, you don't think that? I mean, to me, somewhere along the way, someone is going to be corrupt.
Well, because it's on a smaller scale, it could be you can hold them accountable. In your town or city, there's, say, 30,000 people, or even if it's 1 million people in a city, you could probably even dilute that down to areas of the city, like, well, I don't know, you know yourself. You could have it so that a council are in control of maybe 1,000, 2,000 people. So then the upkeep of the roads, the work that's being done, it would be a smaller fee. And your argument about someone double dipping and ended up in massive power, that's why we've got ourselves into that problem. So diluting it down would solve that. You literally have multi-billionaires running the world right now. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these people, that would be ruled out. Everyone's against all that and saying that these guys could literally solve world hunger, and they don't. I think that if we did the way I'm saying, it would be a much better way of life. I don't see where people could literally have their own home and land and I just think it's what we were meant to be as human beings. We shouldn't be living this life, living paycheck to paycheck, eating poisonous food and water and chemicals, and dying at 50, 60 years of age of cancers and things. Like, that's what all this system is. It's just that.
No, I mean, and I don't disagree with you, because I mean, and what you just said, you said about water. Every time I hear about bad water, meanwhile, Flint, Michigan, they're still drinking bad water. Almost 20 years later, or 15 years later, whatever. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I just struggle with the point of, there are still some things on a larger scale that a small city government would not be able to fix. So I don't know. I mean, everything's just so messed And one thing that I truly do believe is I think that, and I can only say this about the US because I live here. The United States government, the way it was started, it was extremely faulty. It was extremely biased. It was extremely racist. And it only favored one group of people, mainly white men. In fact, that's all it favored, and it favored rich white men. Um, in terms of the UK, again, I know that the country started off with the royals and lords and counts and all that stuff. And if you weren't one of those, you were just a lowly person, whatever. But I know over the years things have changed. But either way it goes, I don't think we'll ever find a utopia. I don't think we'll ever find the right way to do anything, because whoever is in power is going to want more power, and they're going to be greedy, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. So I don't know. It's taxes. I wish taxes would go away, but they are needed. So even if they were on a lower scale, it would really have to be figured out a way to make sure that everything was taken care of. If you have people who are working for the state, those people have to be paid. No one's going to work for free. What do you do?
These issues that you're saying that small governments couldn't deal with are probably issues that big governments have caused, like wars. That's the one that's springing to my mind. Like any war that you can think of has probably been started by. Well, look at what's happening right now. This is what bugs me, is you've got people like Biden, Boris, and Putin arguing and cashing checks with our lives. Like we would be the ones that would have to go and fight in those wars and die because of men in suits sitting around a table arguing, playing as if this is a game of battleships. Like that would be eradicated in my utopia, because on small scales there's no need for war, there's no need for weapons and guns, and like there's no need, there's bliss, when you don't have names like those corrupt men that run our world arguing, and you know like and you were saying as well, like it'll never be achieved. We can all do it if we want. Like I can go away and I'm not saying it's easy, but I can go away tomorrow and buy a plot of land, build a house on it, grow my own food, and not be in this world, like not be in this society. It's just, I know it's hard, but that is something that my wife and I are talking about doing, is buying one of those tiny homes and living off the land, and not, because it's going to get to the point for a lot of people, and it's coming very soon, where the world that we know it is every aspect of our lives will be controlled. They're talking about, vaccine passports and not being able to do things. Well, I don't want to be part of that. I want to die on the right side of history. So I'll maybe just go and buy a plot of land and grow my own food and be self-sustainable, homestead. So I'm saying do that en masse. Like if the whole world adopted that philosophy of living in peace and what we all were intended to do and put here to do, a lot better. It's a lot better world than the one we're in. I don't get why anyone that pushes back on taxation needs to, like anyone that says to me, no, I think we need to have tax. I really find that hard. I think it's a elitist kind of viewpoint, where you're saying that we need men in suits or women in suits to look after us. We need to give people money to look after us.
No, I'm saying that I don't want to pay tax, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying that even if we have small governments, councils, or whatever, doing it on a smaller scale, we're still going to be paying something, whether you wanted to call it tax, call it whatever. We're still going to be paying something just to keep things going, just to keep things going. That is what I'm talking about. In terms of living off the land, I am with you 100%. Over the last 7 years, I have managed to grow a small garden into what I'm very proud of now. And I know the weather really helps. When I go to the market, I very rarely buy any type of broccoli, spinach, all of that I grow, and I'm very happy about that. So living off the land and what have you, absolutely, because things are just getting out of hand. So yeah, I totally get you there. Shy lady, welcome and thank you for waiting patiently.
Oh, thank you. Always glad to be a participant. Just want to say I agree with both of you, but in reference to what Bob is saying, it sounds like he wants a utopia, but unfortunately, I don't think anything like that will ever happen. Because I think about, you talk about the whole world, participating in this utopia, and I think about family members. When a person dies, they argue over money and insurance policies, and I just, you have people in their own families with division. So I don't see how you can have this world that's almost perfect when people can't get along in their own families. And I'm also thinking back when my son was involved in high school basketball. There was a couple who had a son who was he was the manager on the team, and I remember one day we used to do the concession stand. Every parent would like do the concession stand at least once out the season. And I remember a particular time when myself and my husband and this particular couple whose son was a manager on the team, they were accused of stealing money. They always wanted to be over that, and even after their son left, they still wanted to be over it. And someone did the books and found out there was a lot of money missing, and they were the only ones that were like doing the counting, buying the stuff from Sam's and things like that for the concession stands. I think about how corrupt people are, how people can't get along in their own families, when someone dies. So I just don't think it'll ever be a world where people will be honest with one another. It sounds good, but I just don't think that it can be attained. But
Well, I will say this. I don't think Ba is saying utopia, but I understand what you're saying and I understand what he's saying. But again, like Shy Lady, with that, what you just said about that couple, and that's what I mean, that no matter how small you get, and all they were over a stand where they're selling hot dogs and soda and what have you. I mean, somebody is always going to want to steal the money. And yes, you can say, well, okay, we knew it was them, they were the only ones that were over it, but they still did it. So Ba, you want to comment on what Shy Lady said?
Yeah, but I mean, you have to get government involved in it. It's like marriage. It's like there's a lot of people that refuse to get married now because government are involved, and it's not really marriage. It's like they've said, like the average cost of a wedding now in the UK is like £10,000, and people need that type of money to go and put down on a house. And you want the government to be able to tell you that you're married. You should be able to go into your back garden and get a minister, a priest to do a ceremony, and that's you married. But they've got involved in every asset of our lives, and I just don't get that mindset of we need government to tell us what we can and cannot do. Um, and I get it's. I mean, I think it is a utopia. I'm again. It's not it's been a while since I watched that video, um, but it's like it is a dream, and I know it's never going to happen because we don't even get the option on the ballot slip to say anarchy or no government needed. They're never going to allow us to do that, and plus, you're never going to wake up everyone en masse to kind of get behind this idea. But I don't see where the issues are. I know there are going to be some teething problems and who gets paid what and how little we go. But if you guys watch this video, if anyone wants me to send it to them, I'd happily send it to them. It's just a 20-minute video and it's called A Stateless Society. And to me, I don't know why anyone would not want this. It kind of blows my mind if anyone's sitting there saying, we need government, we need to pay them money to look after us. That what are you? I think that their job has been fully implemented on your brain, where you've literally been brainwashed to the point where you think that we need these people. That, I mean, they are the problem. The fact that we pay them taxation and they get that money every day is the reason we're in so much mess. So why not change it?
And again, I'm all for changing it, but people are human and humans are corruptible. So welcome, Chill. Welcome. You there, Chill?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, y'all. This is interesting because it's kind of like a lot of things. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Exactly.
So, in that regard, is that you can be right about something 10 times out of 10, but herein lies that what's the plan? And I tell my people I'm close to all the time, like, what's the plan? How do you do that? How do you implement such strategies and make them viable? Is it even possible? And to do that, so you wouldn't never know until you try, right? But it's always good idealistically that's obvious. Like, these are not. I don't think these are things like Bob can't be wrong about this stuff because it shows for itself. Most people are unhappy with in which the states they live in, and countries they live in, and it's all pretty much a national consensus that the government is probably against you in one shape, form, or other. Therein lies, how do you pose, or how do you I don't know, wage war against your own country, or because essentially that's what you're saying. And how do you fight back? And are you willing to sacrifice? No, that's really the conversation is, because everybody can agree. But what's your plan? You're gonna uproot everything, because that's what we're doing. Like, when people, it's real comfortable. It's easy for us to say this right now when we're sitting in our homes, and comfortable as hell, opposed to a national state of emergency because all people in America's uprised to for such thing as anarchy. Not necessarily, and that's really not what it's about. But that's just a lot, and that's got to be a nation of people on one end all together and willing to do such and willing to sacrifice first for generations, on top of generations, in order for things to may not even become like that. It's just you might just be another story in the car, after they got things back in order. Just fear runs things. So it's always that's a different type of person. That's a different type of person to know that you may die, standing for what you believe in, and still be able to do it and walk in that path. And I don't think, to ask people of that, I don't think that much gets done that way. That's the problem. I could argue most things get done the opposite way.
I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what Ba is saying. I'm not disagreeing.
No, I don't think nobody does.
With disagreeing with what Shiley. I'm not disagreeing with anyone. I'm just saying that we are in a situation where, over time, it has been allowed for, yes, government to do what government is doing all over the world. There's no way that President Xi, in China, should be doing what he's doing, what Kim Jong whatever in North Korea is doing what he's doing, what Putin is doing what he's doing. There's no way that should be happening, but it is. And you do have people who are doing things to try to make the world a better place. Some people sit in their homes and they just talk. Some people don't. I personally don't think that I'm one of those people who sit in my home and talk, because I know what I'm doing on the back end. You have people who have put their lives on the line to make a change. But at the same time, Chill, I'm about to mute you because you have your background noise.
My
But at the same time, in terms of taxes and what have you, I believe that we can get everyone on the same page. I think that's possible. But right now, everyone, we're living in a country, in a world that is so divided over stupid stuff that we should not be divided over. We have one side blaming the other side for this, for that, this. So if we can't even get past that, how are we going to get everybody together to not pay taxes? How are we going to get everybody together, to, do whatever? So I give it up to, and you all may not think that that's a lot, but I think I give it up to those people who are in their neighborhoods where they have those neighborhood, the tomatoes and the corn and all this other stuff. I give it up to those people because they are trying to do something. It may not change the whole world, but they are trying. So again, I come back to, Bob, I agree with what you're saying. It's just, how are we going to get there? How are you going to get everyone in mass to get to where you want to be? How are we going to get there? That's the problem.
Take the red pill. No, but that's a $1 million question, and I'm the same as you. I'm a pessimistic when it comes to this stuff, because as you've seen just the other month there, the freedom rallies in Canada, couldn't even get everyone on board with those. And I know I'm using this as an example, and I know there's people in the panel that might even disagree with me, but like the vaccine issue, as I've said, whether you're pro-vax or not pro-vax, everyone should be on the same hymn sheet with it should be choice. And if there are people out there who don't agree with that, so if you can't even get people to agree with that, how would you get people to agree that we need to remove government and try something new? And that includes the government. The government shouldn't be against this. Like if I started pushing this motto tomorrow on my social media, and it gains some traction, all the government need to do is look into my previous tweets or previous posts and go, this guy once praised Trump, and then you've got half the world, or if not more, hating on me and saying, oh, I'm not following a guy that liked Trump. So you literally, and that's what I mean by the power of the media. Like that's all they do now, is anyone that has a raw good motion, they just need to dive into their previous tweets and demonize them, and then everyone turns their back on them.
But you don't have to have the media to dive into previous tweets. I mean, you can look on Twitter and see that somebody tweets something and someone doesn't like it, and they're like, "Oh, well, you said this, back then, and you did that again." Mm-hmm. I say, we are divided. So we're so divided as a world. How are we going to get on the same page? And as far as what happened in Canada, it's like you see them as freedom rallies. I see them as a concerted effort to purposely block the border so that they cannot get food and everything else going back and forth. So once again, it's like, and I'm doing it right now, playing the blame game. If we can't agree, how are we going to again get to the whole tax thing? I mean,
yeah, this is why I gave up trying to wake people up, but it's like you'll never get everyone on side. So there will become a point in your lives, maybe it's already happened, where you realize I'm going to look after number one in my family. And that's where I'm at just now, where I'm like, well, the way I see the world going in the next few years, I don't want to be part of that world. So I might go off grid. I might go and buy one of these tiny homes and grow my own food. And then when all my friends are worried about not getting into places and because they haven't got their latest vaccine or they haven't got the chip or whatever happens, I'll be the one laughing. Like that's the way I see the world. That's the way I'm taking myself out of that system. I don't want to be any part of that.
Okay. All right. I am going to wrap this up. Yes, MF Juju says, please keep hitting the like button. I would appreciate it. Let's see. Any other comments? Okay, then thank you everyone for liking the show. So Shy Lady, you want to add any last words?
No, always an interesting topic, and I like how everyone respects everyone's opinion, even though everyone might not agree. Let's just continue to respect one another. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Shy Lady. And you made a comment about divorce. You said, unfortunately, government gets involved when that once happy couple decides to divorce and can't decide who gets what. I'm actually doing a show on divorce. It'll probably be next week.
Oh, can I just?
Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry, I didn't mean
ahead.
to interrupt. I said that because earlier Bob had said, why can't people just, get married and not have the government come in? And I get what he's saying, but the only problem with that is when those two people stop liking each other and they've bought a house together and they bought property together, and then they can't decide who gets what. That's when the government comes in.
Well,
So,
that and when lawyers come in, but
well,
no,
oh
no,
yeah,
no, no,
obviously.
no, no, no. I totally get it. I totally get it. Chill. You have any last words?
Yeah, just I feel like you spoke about taxation. I was listening when I was speaking about taxation, which is, I mean, the government is needed for some things. I mean, just the way the current society is set up. I mean, you need roads, you need schools, you need all this. I mean, you can provide things for yourself. True enough, but like I said, any of these things that are just ideal, they're just ideas. They're not plans, and so that's the problem. And then, in order to have a plan, in that scale, you got to have people on board. And I think the psychology behind getting people on board is what needs to be studied opposed to even that plan, because that is obvious. I mean, because what Bob's saying is absolutely, nothing out of the wrong. But one thing is that can we get people to believe in themselves, to believe in others, and that's where the kind of like the world leaders come in at. The I don't know whoever. I don't know the Martin Luther Kings of the world, and they're eradicating those type of people personalities before they even get to a certain level now. Like one way or the other, they'll die off or something happens. Like you said, they'll go into somebody's tweet and say, "Hey, he cursed and said this like 10 years ago." I don't know, but they play on people's insecurities, fears, and stupidity. So I mean, it's an uphill battle, and I think if you're down that road, just studying the psychology of people, it matters. And then having that, you gotta have that rich, like you gotta be a part of something rich, like be rich, like a media or something. Like you gotta be able to sneak into that realm and then be able to infiltrate. That's an uphill battle. That's a generational battle too.
This
But it's
is
a
true.
good topic, definitely.
Well, thank you. Well, again, guys, thank you very much for coming. I do appreciate it. And if anyone was watching over on YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much. And again, I am going to be promoting this all week, so you all will hear me say it again tomorrow and on Thursday. Bahram and I on Friendly Differences on Sunday, 12 noon Pacific time. Our show will be on transgender, and we do have someone who has fully transitioned from a man to a woman, male to female, who will be on the show, and she wants to tell her story. So if anyone is interested, hopefully you all will be, and come over, and Michael Key will also be on that show. So on that note, everyone, thank you so much. Go where the wind takes you, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. And Ziller, I'm sorry, I was ending the show, so I wasn't going to take any more call-ins. But thank you for coming. And thank you, everyone, for liking the show. I do appreciate it. Bye, Shy Lady. And Ba, as always, thank you for coming on. And Ba, are you going to be doing a show on Thursday? Are you doing a show Thursday? That's okay,
Yeah, will
Ziller.
be.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what time is your show?
11 a.m. Pacific.
Okay. All right, everyone. So show up for Ba and support him. Bye, Juju. Khalid Heiko, thank you. Power Girl, Tuttles, as always. And Tuttles, I am going to, I actually put it in my phone because I want to see your, I want to listen to your show. So I'm excited to hear that. And Frankie, as always, thank you so much. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.